is emotionally purged. It's time to purge some of our material things. So a study shows us we got too much stuff.
We have too much stuff. I recently read a staging study that said that most houses have 33% unused stuff, which is unneeded stuff. If we're not using it, it's just really junk. Junk in the trunk that we really don't need kicking around the house at all. And in that same study, it actually talked about in North America, most houses use 20% of their home for storage. And that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
And a lot of times, I know in my own house, I don't always know what's being stored, right? There's like a little empty crevice, and I'm like, oh, this stuff can just go there. So I really wanted to attack this whole concept of duplicates, because when I started digging through the closets and the drawers and the cupboards, I realized it's not just that I own stuff I don't use. I own duplicates and categories of things I don't need and use. So if I don't need one, why do I have 41? Yeah. Was kind of the conversation. So I really started to think and break it down into categories of how we consume so many duplicates or triplicates or quadruplicates of junk and stuff. So I started with chaotic clutter because I felt like this very much hit home for me. Yeah. I very much am that person that when it doesn't have a specific home, something doesn't have a home in the house, and I don't know where to look for it, I just go buy another one.
Because you need it right away.
It's the faster thing to do. Yes. So I recently renovated my garage, which actually we'll see next week on the show. So now everything has a home. But through that process of renovating, I found that I had approximately 9 hammers. I had at least a dozen multi-bit screwdrivers. And I realized I only have 2 hands. Right. So the math didn't really add up that I didn't need all of this. So going through and eliminating the chaotic clutter, creating a home for everything, and only one of what I did need allowed me to purge everything out. And a great donation place for stuff like this is the Habitat for Humanity Restore. Smart. They can definitely make good use of this, and it's a feel good. You not only are you freeing up space in your mind and in your house, but you're passing along the love as well.
Do they also want vases?
Well, if they're here for the taking, do it anybody likes the vases. So the next one was unconscious clutter for me. Yes. I have certain places in my home that store things, a category such as vases. I know under the kitchen cupboard is where all the vases went, but I had lost control of how many vases were under there. And I would get a flower arrangement. Thank you, hubby. He would send something to the house or something as a gift, beautiful flower arrangements. You get this really inexpensive / almost worthless class. Yes. But you're just like, oh, I might use it, so I'll shove it under the kitchen cupboard. And I actually looked, 33 vases. Talk about the 33% too much clutter. So this isn't even all of them. Yeah. And if only I had enough flowers to fill the vases on a regular basis. The reality is I usually need 1 vase. Yeah. And the true reality is I often upcycle and use something else in my house, like a canister for flowers. I don't use a traditional vase. So something like this, as a collection, a quick and easy way to get rid of everything, Goodwill, Salvation Army, or Kijiji, you can post it online or let go, as 1 full lot. Yes. So if you want to make a little bit of dough, 1 piece on their own isn't a lot of value, but if you want to sell a whole lot of vases for $10, come and take them. Take them off my brain.
If you're in my neighborhood, you put them on a tray and put them on your retaining wall in your front yard. They're gone in about 10 minutes.
But don't tell me that, because now I'll be the one driving, collecting all the clutter from other people's houses. I'll be like, totally, it's my favorite place to shop, the curbside boutique,
You got good stuff in my neighborhood.
Absolutely.
You really do.
So the next one, get rid. The next one, disposable clutter. And for me, one of the biggest disposable categories is tech. Yeah. People get phones, new phones every year, cameras. The technology's changing so quickly and we want to keep up. Yeah. But I know for myself, because there's like sensitivities with the information tied to old phones. You're like, oh, I'll just shove it in a drawer until you realize that you have a call center in your nightstand. Hello, is anybody there? Like, you don't need all the phones. So the key with something like this, take the SIM card out, destroy it, right? Same thing with cameras, make sure your memory cards are out. You don't want to be giving away the memories. But there's some great organizations, one of which is recyclemyelectronics.ca. Oh, that's If you go onto their website, it'll tell you drop-off locations all over the place. And also Recycle My Cell, because the thing is with old cell phones, the parts in it can still be used to create new cell phones. So not only are we keeping them out of the landfill, which is where these babies should not go, but we're actually helping from the need to mine new raw materials to create new cell phones as well. Very good. So it's a feel good.
We'll put that address on our website as well, cityline.ca, so we can access it. Because I'm going to access that too. That's great. Lots of elephants.
Emotional
Look
clutter.
at all the elephants.
Emotional clutter is the category where you have stuff and maybe someone gave them to you and you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to hurt their feelings by getting rid of it, even though they would probably never know and never care. And in the case of my grandmother, love my grandmother, who's since passed, she willed me this collection of elephants, and this is 150th of the collection.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. And I have to admit, I am emotionally connected to them. I have them on display. But here's the thing. I feel that she wasn't necessarily as emotionally connected as people thought she was. I think she mentioned once in her life that she liked elephants. And from that moment on, for every holiday and every celebration, people gave her an elephant.
That's the worst.
And she had to grin and say, thank you.
Oh,
and it was one of those things she had to dust. So I think if you are a collector, like, lay your claim, tell people, I collect them, but I'm very personal about the items that I like to pick for my collection. Instead of just getting like really junky stuff from like that you have no emotional connection to. Me, I am emotionally connected, but some of them, if they were in disrepair or if I really didn't love them, you have to feel okay to let them go. And places like the Goodwill, it's again the feel good letting go.
They're going somewhere good.
Absolutely.
They're going to help someone else.
And talking about helping someone else, furniture. So my last category is impulse clutter. I have a problem, I will admit it. I'm still looking for a 12-step program with small, petite pieces of furniture. If I see something, I'm like, oh, look at that table, I probably need it. Although I don't need it, and I might not want it and really don't love it, I just feel like
I should have that.
It strikes that chord with me. So I have this little collection of tables that, and here's the thing, when you emotionally buy, an impulse buy, usually something else should go, but if you're like me and you get attached to things in your house for no good reason, not only do things not go, but they just pile up. So that's like the visual clutter in your house. So places like Furniture Bank are amazing for if you decide to let go, you go through, there's no emotional connection, it doesn't really serve you any purpose. Donate to Furniture Bank because they actually use the pieces to help get people back on their feet out of homelessness, that have been displaced, that don't have a home. It's one thing to put a roof over their head, but it's so empowering to actually have it furnished and feel good about the space. But they've actually done something incredible. They've opened something called The Studio, and their studio space now upcycles pieces that have been donated that are for sale to the mass public. So if you have an affection and want to impulse buy, at least you're buying for a good cause.
We have a
and the money's going,
picture.
Of that dresser.
So this is how it looked when you saw it on probably my front lawn.
Exactly.
And so you took it home and you upcycled it, and now you can donate it.
Well, actually, they've done the upcycling for you, and now they upcycle it in their new studio shop, which you can access online and purchase. And all of the proceeds go back to Furniture Bank, so it's such a feel-good purchase.
Really nice. Okay, so the point is to start acting. Go
and
through
let go.
and see what you need to let go of.